All right, everyone, have a great All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you all for joining us today for our fifth accelerated series module of 2025. I am your one of the programs and events coordinators for GWBC. My name is Sherelle McNair, and I bring you greetings on behalf of the programs and events team. Normally, our director of programs, Maria Belias, does bring welcome remarks for these programs. Unfortunately, she's feeling under the weather, but she will definitely be tuning in and kind of pinging me and Saeed during the day to find out how everything went. So just kind of send her some love and light and hoping that she feels better real soon. But outside of that, you are in for a real treat today. So I'm really excited to have everyone joining us this morning. And you can let everybody know about your experience with the Accelerate series in this amazing panel. Be sure to follow us on all social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram using the handle GWBC Live and the hashtag GWBC Accelerate to post about your experience today. All right. And then do us a favor. I already see some people talking in the chat, but feel free to engage with each other, network, say good morning, ask about your favorite morning drink, shoot some questions in the chat to our panelists this morning. We love to hear from everybody and seeing that everybody is engaging, especially since today's topic is civic engagement. So take advantage of that opportunity. All right. Well, I'm going to step aside a little bit. What is it, Chef Maria? I'm drinking kombucha. Good for you. Good for you. I love that. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce today's moderator, who is also a member of this esteemed Accelerate series committee, and that is Monique Russell. She is the CEO and founder of Clear Communication Solutions, and she is such a delight and joy to work with. She's just a delight, period. At 9 a.m., she is bubbly and just enticing, and I don't know who else we would get to moderate such an amazing topic like this. So Monique, without further ado, I'm going to hand everything over to you, and thank you so much for all your work on the committee and for this module today.
Thank you so much, Sherelle, and good morning to everyone on the call today. Like Sherelle said, you are in for a treat. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the love. I see you, Keyshawn. Thank you. But really, we're happy to be here to talk about how civic engagement can lead to business and professional opportunities. And, as women, so many of us were already naturally engaged in our communities. We serve on boards, we sponsor events, we volunteer at children's schools, churches, our alma maters. We give our dollars to really good causes. But oftentimes, our money and our time are simply philanthropic. There's actually no win win strategy. And I know some of you might say, well, it doesn't need to be a win win. I just need to give. But it definitely needs to be a win win for your business and also the community. So today we're going to talk about how civic engagement can be a win for your business, for your brand, and for your professional growth. I want you to think about it this way. Large corporations have a corporate social responsibility platform. And small businesses, we should have the same too. So today, let me introduce our esteemed panel of experts, our powerhouse panelists. First up, Janice Robinson. Janice is the executive director of United Way. She oversees the VIP program. She has 20 years in nonprofit leadership and board development. She has trained over 3,000 community leaders, impacting 1,500 plus nonprofits. And let me tell you, if you want to know how to network and connect, you need to talk to Janice because she is a master connector. Next, we have Dr. Deborah Johnson Blake, also known as Dr. DJ, and she is the CEO of the Writing Pad LLC. She's an award-winning professor, best-selling author, and time management diva. She's a leadership coach, a servant leader. She's been recognized for her work on numerous boards and community groups. You are in the right place today. Tracy Knight. She is the president and CEO of InView Solutions. She specializes in leadership development and all the things that we need around social and emotional intelligence. She also focuses on generational team success because we kind of have to pass it down to the next generation. And she focuses on transforming companies and building talent from the inside out. And certainly, last but not least, Sharon Gomacher. She is the president and CEO of Communications 21 with over 30 plus years in marketing, PR, digital strategy. Wink, wink. She's a leader in marketing ROI, board service, and brand building through civic engagement. So, Dr. Deborah Johnson Blake, AKA Dr. DJ, AKA Time Management Diva, we're going to start with you. As a
Ab-
coach,
Go ahead.
as a coaching expert, can you share some science and some data around why civic engagement is positive and good for people, and pretty much like why it's important for external audiences to see that you and your company are participating in community work?
Absolutely. First, I want to say good morning. I'm so excited to be one of the panelists today. Special thanks to the GWBC leadership team for the invitation and opportunity. And thank you, Monique, for the introduction and questions. So, today I want to discuss how civic engagement doesn't just serve the community, it strengthens our leadership, it builds our brand trust, and aligns directly with professional growth. So, as a coaching expert, I'm going to address the questions from a scientific perspective, as you just indicated. And I'm also going to talk about it from a visibility and value standpoint. Next slide, please. Next slide. So, I'm pleased to share some scientific evidence and data on the benefits of civic engagement for individuals. The science and data is clear, okay? Indicating that civic leadership is beneficial for individuals in general. So, according to the National Institute on Aging, individuals who participate in civic activities tend to experience lower levels of stress, lower levels of depression and inflammation. And they also tend to enhance their overall well being and health, which is a good thing, right? So, the Harvard Business Review reports that leaders who regularly give back develop higher emotional intelligence, empathy, and collaborative leadership skills. So, when we serve, we grow. Civic engagement is a personal development in action. And it's contagious, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but me, it's contagious for me. And that's why the most respected brands make a public presence in their communities. People want to do business with companies they trust. We know that. And trust grows where community roots runs deep. So personally, serving as a Douglas County Chamber ambassador and investor, vice chair of the Wellstar Hospital Authority Board, parliamentarian for the Georgia Association for Women in Higher Education, secretary for Beyond the Front Porch, and as an outreach committee member for the National Council of Negro Women Northwest Georgia section, among others, has expanded my network and made me a more empathetic and effective leader. basically enhancing my credibility and skill sets. I had somebody ask me the other day, well, when do you sleep, Dr. DJ? Yeah, I do sleep. But all those other moments, I'm working and giving back. So it's a combination of things. But I will say this, I work hard and I do play hard. Okay. Next slide, please. So, as I pondered this question, or the second part of your question, I should say, why external audiences need to see that you and your company are participating in community work, it's simple. People support what they see, you supporting. So, therefore, visibility and value significantly impacts your brand. A core communication survey found that 87% of consumers prefer brands that give back to their community. I know I do. In its research, Deloitte found that employees are twice as likely to stay with socially active employers. The fact is, civic engagement boosts your brand's credibility and network reach, which can ultimately lead to business opportunities, right? So you have to remember that business does not happen overnight. Been there, done that. Most people complain about being a part of associations or chambers or because they don't feel they're getting value. But what are you putting into it? You have to remember that it's all about relationship building, being visible in your community, and demonstrating the value your business brings to the community. So, when external audiences see you or your business actively involved, whether it's mentoring students, sponsoring a field trip, or even volunteering at local events, they see more than a logo. They see character, they see commitment, they see credibility. So this visibility isn't about self promotion, okay? It's about shared values. It's about giving back, which builds that authentic relationship with your community. And that is what can open those unexpected doors. So, as a chamber ambassador, whew, I guess probably for several years now, even being a board volunteer and a business founder, I've seen firsthand how civic leadership attracts meaningful opportunities and that long term loyalty. So, visibility builds that trust, and trust builds that opportunity. And so, for me, as a servant leadership is the foundation of my civic engagement. I love it, and it makes me feel good when I give back as a leader and a business owner. So, as relationships were built and my brands, the Writing Pad LLC and the Time Management Diva, evolved, so did my business. Other roles I've served in have brought visibility and value to my brand, include being the immediate past chair of the Partners in Education of Douglas County and an incoming chair, or co-chair, I should say, of the Publicity Committee for the Junior League of Douglas County, among others. While I am involved in several organizations, serving as a chamber ambassador for the past 8 years has been very rewarding and has had a tremendous impact on my business success. So last month, my company, the Writing Pad LLC, was selected as one of 6 finalists for the 2025 Business of the Year Award. So that's thanks to my involvement in the community and my ability to present a compelling case for support that demonstrates business growth and civic engagement. In addition, as I am actively involved in a community through civic organization and have promoted my business services, when the opportunity arises, I have developed those partnerships with local universities, businesses, and served as a subcontractor on various municipal and small business projects. So the goal is to inform and showcase your business in the community, as well as show how you can help them solve their problems. So to do so, volunteering helps. In a nutshell, I'm involved because of my servant leadership spirit, as I've already indicated, as well as to build my brand through collaboration, civic engagement, and fostering those relationships for the most part. And this is why external audiences need to see you, as opportunities for collaboration will eventually surface. Just got to stick at it. So I encourage you to do the same for your business.
That is so awesome, Dr. DJ. When we serve, we grow. I picked that up from what you said just now. When we serve, we grow. Y'all drop that in the chat. When we serve, we what? We
Oh,
grow. Now, I love that you talked about the whole aging aspect and also getting out of that transactional energy. It's not giving me value. Well, I'm not seeing the return on investment. And the thing about it is, as the time management diva, you said something that sparked my interest. You said when do you sleep? But I want to know, how do you guide leaders to balance this civic engagement with all the professional goals? Because I mean, I'm listening to all these things and I'm like, "Ooh, I need to get me an energy drink." How do you do it? How do you guide leaders to balance their civic engagement with their professional goals?
wow. Thank you for that follow-up question, Monique. I really appreciate it. You know, many leaders say, I'd love to do more, but I'm stretched thin, right? And that's where time management comes in. With my background in time management, I teach a method called the focus, flow, finish approach. And you may have seen something similar, but it encourages leaders to set intentional priorities, enter a state of focused productivity, and determine the causes that they want to support with clarity and energy. So, thereby prioritizing their civic engagement in alignment with the professional goals. In essence, through my business, I advise leaders to select and prioritize those causes that align with their professional mission. Then, only then, can they schedule service the same way they would a board meeting or a client call. I
Mhm.
also encourage leaders to avoid trying to do everything alone, okay? Instead, delegate and empower others. Civic engagement is not a solo sport. It's a team effort. Even if you're a team of one, there's people that can assist you. So when you cannot physically participate in civic engagement activities, consider delegating them to colleagues who can help. And if you have a team, of course, your team members who can represent the business when you're not in the room. All right. So let's break down the focus, flow, and finish method. Step one, that's where you're focusing. This is where you have that opportunity to prioritize those high impact tasks and align them with your core values and your business mission. Okay. Step two, that's the flow method, I like to say. So now that you have prioritized those causes, assess them to determine what you can do as a leader and which ones can be delegated. And then step three, that's where you finish. In this final step, you determine which tasks and causes are urgent and important, helping you reprioritize based on their urgency and importance. So let me quickly break down step three. When you think about a task that is urgent and important, these are things that you do first and immediately, okay? And so, for instance, that can be an upcoming civic organization deadline, all right? That's important, that's urgent, needs to be done. Secondly, you look at important but not urgent. And this is those tasks that you schedule, okay? And that could be meetings for the civic organization. You're scheduling them. They're important, but it's not due right now. Then you have urgent and not important. And this is where you have an opportunity to delegate. Okay. And I meant to say for the important but not urgent, that's your strategic planning that you're scheduling. Of course, you're going to schedule those meetings, but strategic planning is very, very important. We know that, but it's not urgent. It's things that you're planning to do. And again, for that urgent but not important, that's the delegation. Those are the meetings for the civic organization. And then last, the not urgent and not important. Put it in chat if you think you know what that means. You know what that means? That means eliminate. Okay? That means, do you really need to be doing that task? And that could be those civic activities that do not align with your values and business mission. So, the goal of step three is to help you better manage your time through civic engagement, ensuring you allocate more time to important causes, and thereby balancing your schedule out. So, at this point, you can schedule those civic engagement commitments on the calendar and just move more efficiently through those other tasks with greater success. And last, as I wrap up, I want you to let civic engagement be a tool for both leadership transformation and elevation. with the goal and call to action being to be visible in your community, to tie service to leadership growth, and to use your time on purpose. In closing, I'll leave you with this. The clock is always ticking, okay? We know that. But how we choose to spend our time, especially in service of others, shapes the leaders we become. Civic engagement is not just a good deed, it's a leadership practice. So clock in for change, serve with strategy, lead with love. Do not overextend yourself and build a legacy that outlasts your calendar. To learn more and connect with me, you can visit deborahjohnsonblake.com. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Let's go. Let's go. The clock is always ticking. Y'all give Dr. DJ some love because listen, she gave us the fire right here today. And I know I always struggle with that prioritization. So I'm definitely going to be needing to book a call with you. I want to move now to Tracy Knight. Tracy, we're going to shift because in all of this, you are focused on young generations. You do a lot of work with young generations in the workplace. And I want to start to think about what happens when companies and CEOs get involved with specific engagement, specifically around retention, whether we're looking at retention as an employee or retention as a customer.
Awesome. So I'm going to take a roundabout way to address the idea of retention because my business really focuses on developing the social and emotional, the 26 competencies of social and emotional intelligence in men and women, but we have a particular interest in women who are in leadership. I want to tell you how that relates to the development of our emerging generation, but also for our baby boomers who are exiting the traditional pathway and moving into a different phase of their life and how civic engagement really relates to that. So I went to the POP conference in Charlotte and I listened to the pitch competition. And what became abundantly clear to me is that every woman who got up there and presented, her business is civic engagement. Like, because civic engagement shows up in a number of different ways, but one of the ways is about economic participation. And it's about trying to shape a better society. Every single woman that got up there, whether it was caregiving, you know, every woman was trying to address a need in society. Every single one. The woman who developed the app for rural communities, you know, every single person was trying to make humanity better. And so it was so profound to me because it speaks to why women get into business, which can be vastly different than what has motivated our male counterparts to get into society. And I am 100% convinced that if we are going to change our society, you know, if we're going to address some of the barriers that we are experiencing right now, women are going to have to lead that change. And it is through our businesses that we will create that platform to do that. So when I think about our businesses, and I do function in win-wins, I function in win-wins because I think for far too long, women have spent the majority of their time pouring out and not allowing themselves to receive in, right? So that's pouring out is more of a masculine trait. We all have masculine and feminine energy in us. And so when we are doing, we spend a lot of time serving and supporting others. That is a masculine trait. That is this has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with balancing the energy that is within us. But in order for us to have a balanced energy, we have to also be able to receive. So I do function in win-win because I want to both give and I also want to receive because that then fortifies me to be able to continue that cycle. So when I think about the women and their businesses, they are pouring out, but they are also getting something back. So let's think about what it is that they're getting back. Most women are creating businesses because they want three things. One, they want purpose. When we come here on this planet, we are here to fulfill a purpose. And so when we get to the end of our life, we want to be able to look back and say, what contribution did I make to humanity? But also, did I feel fulfilled in that purpose? Right? I was able to operate in my gift. For me, I happen to be a people developer. I've always been a people developer. That's looked a lot of different ways, from working in corporate America and banking uh, to being an educator, a mathematics teacher, to serving in the nonprofit industry for 20 years, to running my business for 20 years. Yes, I've had a long and eclectic career, but it's all been around developing people. So when I am engaged in the work, just like I am here today, because I feel like I'm in the midst right now of developing people through my words, right? So that fulfills me as much as it is a gift to someone else. The second reason that a woman sort of gets into business is about her impact. You know, she wants to have impact. She wants to see the change, the transformation. You know, yes, she wants to see the transformation in society, whatever that business is. She wants to leave the world a better place. And then finally, it's not really the money that we want. Money is a byproduct. What we really want is security. What we really want is security. Security allows us to ensure that not only we can live a life that feels comfortable for us, but we can also make sure that our children and those that we love are taken care of, because that is the feminine energy to make sure that we are nurtured. So in that space, you know, how does civic engagement sort of relate to that? Well, I want to empower each of us to start thinking about our businesses as an extension of us rather than something that is separate. And we think about our civic engagement as an extension of us as well. It is a mechanism by which we can fulfill our purpose, we can have impact, and we can create security. So we have a triple bottom line that we're playing for. And it is not separate from us. We will be inspired by different ways of engaging in civic engagement. My mother, who passed recently, was very politically active. That's not me. I mean, I engage in the political process, but I'm a people developer. So I am more apt to engage in things like this that allow me to educate and teach than I am to be carrying a picket sign or getting people out to vote, you know? So you have to find your own calling in this. It also allows us to, where was I? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I want to circle back around to how we are using these businesses to both engage in a civic way, but fulfill that purpose, impact, and security. Hiring. All right, we've got a business. We need some people to help us, for sure. Earlier on in my business, and I've been in business for 20 years now, I was doing it all. I mean, I was everything to all people, right? So I had to figure out how I was going to augment my business, the gaps in my business. And so one of the ways I was an educator. So I thought, well, I could develop young people. I know how to do that. And they could come and help support my business. And so I sought out partnerships, and I had worked at the collegiate level. So I sought out partnerships with colleges and universities, and then developed my own sort of like internship. You can call it an internship program, but I have over 100 mentees. Now many of them are off and in their careers now, but they are the ones that really help to build a lot of that business infrastructure. I had time and talent that was just given to me. For some colleges and universities, they needed to do service. So the hours that they were giving was a part of their graduation requirements, but then I also paid them because I wanted them to understand that their time and their talent is valuable. So I was teaching them at the same time that I was giving them an opportunity, and I was creating a win-win for myself. Okay. Now that's one set of seniors. Now I also look for people who are retired on the other end of senior because they have so much to give. For our baby boomers who have retired, they may be looking, they haven't sung their last song. They want to get back out in the world. And so Terry, my operations manager, who has been with me for like 20 years, is just one of the people who works in my business. She is paid sometimes, but she volunteers a lot. But she helps to run my finance team because that was her background, working at Kennesaw State University for 40 years. So it's a win-win for everyone. Then there's the opportunity to, of course, donate and give back. So more recently, I've been very inspired to go back to education to figure out how I can transform education. I already have charities that I donate to, but I'm giving a real concerted effort now to go back to education. But I don't want to work with the students. I want to work with teachers because I think they are oftentimes invisible to the world. I've been in that environment before. So now I'm looking at how can I leverage, because the other thing is because I have over 100 courses in my business that we teach in and outside of the workplace, guess what educators do? They develop curriculum. So I'm giving to them, I'm adopting schools, I'm working with specific teachers, I coach them, and I offer these things for free because I want to empower them. I have something to give to them. And for many of them, they come back and they're like, how can I serve and support you? So what I'm really saying here is that I want us to really start thinking about civic engagement along with our business as an extension of who we are and not something that is completely separate. Because for most women, we don't have the bandwidth, time, and capacity to add on yet one more thing. So when you shift the way that you think about something, everything around you shifts. So instead of me thinking about it being one more thing that I have to do, I'm really thinking about it from a win-win. What is it that I need and I want the universe to give to me? And then I look into my community to think about, okay, well, where is that gap? How can that both serve me and I serve it? What can I bring to it as well? I think when we do that, we begin to find more balance. I'm going to sort of leave us with this thought of until you are clear about who you are as a woman, like who you really are as a woman, until you have defined the way you run your business as, let me back this up just a little bit. A lot of us are attempting to run our business the way that men have historically run corporations. And I don't know that that's serving us because it puts us in the mindset of grind and hustle. On the other end of that is burnout, for sure. Okay. Women work more in flow. Men too, if they would allow themselves, but women can work more in flow, give and receive, reciprocity. So what I'm challenging us to do is to rethink the way we work, to rethink about the type of contributions we want and we feel deserving of in ourselves, which is to be supported. Many women don't allow themselves to be supported, which is why we struggle to have other people come into our business and to help us or, just being open to new ways of doing things. So we tend to take all of those burdens on ourselves. We don't ask for help. Those are very masculine traits. I'm employing you to begin to think about yourself and your business from a different lens. How can you begin to make your business an extension of yourself, one where you create a win-win, you create a win-win for other people, opportunities and growth for other people. And in the meantime, you are able to actually serve your purpose, you're able to serve your impact, and you create a sense of stability and security for yourself that will not stand in the way of longevity. Because what we're playing for is a long life, not a shortened life where we've work, and we get to the end of our life, and then you can't even really enjoy what we're calling retirement, even though I don't believe in retirement. You can't even enjoy retirement because you're so sick, because you've burned yourself out getting there. utilize the civic engagement, whether it's volunteerism, bringing other people into your business from a donating, bringing in volunteers, hiring new people. All of that is a part of civic engagement. And then using other areas that just interest you. If you're into politics, be in politics. That's not really me, but be in politics. Do whatever it is that really serves and supports you. I'm complete.
Yes. Oh, OMG. Come on, Tracy Knight. Listen, you said so many things, but I really love how you shifted the perspective. It was a great follow-up to Dr. DJ's thoughts and insights, because when you talk about seeing the way our businesses are already civic, we are
Yes.
already engaged in
Yes.
civic. So thinking not just, hey, this is something that I have to do, but more,
Yes.
this is who I already am. This is an
Yes.
extension of myself. And I love the fact that you also talked about aligning your method of service. So if you're interested in politics, if you're interested in education, if you're interested in picketing or, like marching, think about, again, aligning with Dr. DJ's values conversation. How do you want to align your business activity in the community with the method that serves the best for you? I love
Yes.
your three areas of why women want to grow and develop their business: purpose, impact, and security. I also love the fact that you're focusing on some very distinct populations, the young people and then the boomers. Really, really insightful here for us today. And, when I listen to you talk about your experiences, your longevity in certain areas, I'm getting the notion that it does help with retention. Having someone in your business for 20 years, mentoring people for over decades, that also influences the retention aspect, whether they are an employee or whether they are a customer. I just want to give a quick spin off, because when you talk about finding who you are, where does emotional intelligence and self-awareness fit into all of this? Specifically, you talked about not wanting to burn out and being on the hustle train. And I'm sure there are several of us on the call here who have experienced hustle, and some hustle. So if you already know that you might be wired to do that, or you might be wired in a way where it's hard for you to ask for help or to receive, where does emotional intelligence fit into all of this as a business growth strategy?
Yeah, it is emotional intelligence. So there are 26 competencies of social and emotional intelligence. But the essence, without me going through and listing all 26 of those competencies, let me niche it down to social and emotional intelligence is the ability to be in a healthy, sustainable relationship with yourself, others, and life. That's what it is. And so when you think about being in a relationship with yourself, that requires you to understand. I have like 7 questions that I coach women around. And the essence of it is like, who are you? What is the source of your personal power? Why are you here? What is it that you want to contribute and how will you get there? Who will you allow into your inner circle? What brings you pleasure and desire? How will you lead? So, because you're leading yourself, the relationships that you have, whether they are in business, they are at home, or they are in the bedroom, are all a byproduct and a mirror reflection of who you are. So the essence of who you are defines everything else around you. That's why your business is a byproduct. Your business will start to feel like a hustle grind, because inside of you, you are hustling and grinding. You are anxious about it. Until you can get back to the center of yourself, that is going to feel like that. Okay. So social and emotional intelligence is about the ability to be both aware of and to manage the relationships that you are having with self, others, and life. So, and there are many competencies that empower us or allow us to do that. So I hope I've answered your question. I could go into so
Perfect.
many other things, but I'm
Perfect.
trying not to
Perfect.
eat up the time for everybody.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And I just want to say, both of you, Dr. DJ and Tracy, Thank you for laying the foundation for why civic engagement is important, helping us to shift the perspective, seeing the benefits, not just for us personally, but also the business and also the community. Both of you, you've helped us figure out how to make it work with our schedule, how to make it work with our bodies, emotions, and how to make it work for our business. So now we're going to move into the second half of this discussion. And for those that are in the audience, if questions come up, make sure that you drop them in the chat because we're going to address your questions towards the end of this conversation. And I'm sure that several things are coming up for you. I already see some of you writing in the chat what's resonating. Thank you for that engagement. So let's talk about how, and some of the strategies. I want to pull up Sharon Goldmacher next. Sharon, this is for you because you have served on a couple of boards. You've been on many, many committees. You've also sponsored events. And I know so many times we sponsor events. And again, that thought of, well, is it going to give me a return on investment? How do I identify what will give me a return on investment? I want us to focus a little bit on that. So if you can give us some concrete examples of how you've generated business from your board service and your process on how civic engagement has turned into real, not fake, real business. I would love for you to share on that.
I would love to. First, I want to thank Dr. DJ as well as Tracy. I think the why of how we get into civic engagement and the foundations that you need to make are so important. Certainly the how is what I'll talk about a little bit. But I will just start with saying that I am a passionate person in general. I don't tend to talk about astrological signs, but I am an Aries and I'm like very stubborn Ram and very passionate. And so as part of that, having been in business on my own since 1992, I've kind of learned that there's different industries that I am very passionate about. One of those industries in particular has been commercial real estate, which I think some people may think, oh my God, that's so boring. But I think that seeing a piece of land go from just a flat piece of land to a structure or a mixed use development or an apartment building where people can live and have lives, I find that really fascinating. So using that kind of passion, I ended up the last 6 years or so getting involved with an organization called Commercial Real Estate for Women. And there's chapters all over the world. And I just wanted to kind of learn more about this industry of which I had, worked in doing marketing and PR for when I first started my career. And through building relationships and through getting involved, and because I am a control freak, and that's one of the things maybe around security that Tracy was talking about. And the reason that I got into doing my own business was I like to lead things. And so what typically happens is if I follow a passion and get involved, I tend to get into a leadership role of some sort because that's how I can affect change. So in joining Crew and kind of seeing what was the foundation of that organization, I tend to get on the communications committee. And what I found very quickly is that the folks in real estate don't really understand marketing, don't really understand PR. And so just by getting involved and authentically educating people on how the organization could improve or change what they're doing, you end up showing your value in a very authentic and transparent way, I believe. And so kind of going through that, and if you want to go to my slides, I think we can talk through some of that, Monique. But joining the committee, they start to see, oh gosh, that is an interesting idea. We haven't done that before. And so then you can volunteer and say, well, I'll take that on. Let me kind of show you how that might work. And all that was all very volunteer basis. And the organization started to see some change. And so through that, I was able to then kind of come back to them and say, you know what? It might make more sense if we were to take that on as a, paid, partially paid engagement. And then I will also donate on top of that our time. And for that, in exchange, we get a sponsorship. And what's great, and if you want to go to the next slide, that would be great. As part of our sponsorship package for Crew, we also get membership included, which is awesome because it's a very expensive organization to join. And so through that, again, kind of through that engagement and that passion, it has turned into business. And not only for the Atlanta organization, but because if you will go to the next slide, Monique, because we have been very results driven, we've built that trust, and we now have a lot of great results to show for it. One of which is for our chapter in Atlanta, we have about close to 400 members. It's one of the larger chapters in the world. And we are number one on all the social platforms for this chapter for the entire organization, which is awesome. And so we've gotten interest from other chapters saying, hey, we know that you guys do this for the Crew Atlanta chapter. Could you help us as well? And so it's been great. So we've been able to kind of expand our reach beyond just our base here in Atlanta. And we do work with clients all across the country, but it was through that passion and through the building of that trust, and proving our worth, and that was able to then really translate into business. So that was a very specific how, but we will take on projects not just that are my passion, but I talk to my team and see what they are passionate about as well, and where we can do a combination of either volunteering at the outset that might lead to business down the road. But again, it's for me, it's following that clear passion that says, what are you about? How do you want to lead? And how does that translate to helping? And if it results in business, great. But other than that, it's really, following that path. So
Thank
there
you,
might
Sharon.
be one more slide, but yeah.
That is so good. So good.
So yeah, I think there are some clear boundaries that you do need to set when you're getting involved with an organization. Like, I know I've met people who kind of come in very hard-hitting sales. They're a volunteer, but they are really, really selling. And so it doesn't feel it feels very self-promotional versus service-oriented. And I think I kind of lay the path here with the team that we are going to serve first and we'll see what happens. But we don't necessarily go in with the thought that we're going to get business out of the gate, because that just isn't really what civic engagement is about. Mm-hmm. So I think, again, leading with your values, assuming that you're not the entitled person coming into the room that's going to get business out of your engagement, and then just being transparent about the value that you can provide. I think that is kind of a good recipe for success.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. I love this point about ethical approaches, because don't we all just can't deal with the person who's coming in there selling? No, can you please leave? Exit stage left. So this was so on time and on point. And I love that you talk about the passion, Sharon, starting first with the passion. And that's why it will feel organic. And the fact that you are in communications, but you went through real estate. It's like, oh, wow. Just think about, it doesn't have to be a direct connection to your business, but think about how your civic engagement can just align with your passion. It will give you that fulfillment and desire, whether you're closing business or not. But more than likely, it might give you some opportunities down the road. And it is a long-term game, not just, hey, I'm just here to hit and run. So I would not be doing my job if I didn't ask you this question because, hello, communications, PR, marketing. Yeah. So a lot of times people do the civic engagement. It's a passion thing. It makes us feel good. It's fulfilling, but there's no mention of it. It is like the best kept secret ever. So how you recommend that we share our civic engagement stories to maximize visibility, credibility, brand positioning, and all the things?
Yeah. I think, again, thinking holistically about how you position your company is important. So obviously, to me, posting on your social media, whether it's a story, a reel of your engagement, or the value that you may have provided at the end of the day. Like I personally got involved with X, and as a result, I love being number one. The folks at Crew laugh at me because when I first started as a volunteer, we were third on Instagram. So there were two other organizations that were above us in terms of followers and engagement. And I made it my number one goal was to get us to number one, which happened at the end of last year. So it took 4 years, but we did it. And so, to me, posting about that, writing a blog about that kind of success where you're really turning your personal, hey, this was a personal goal of mine. We worked as a team to get there and finally achieved it. I think telling your own story and being a self-publisher is really, really important. Self-publishing is king these days. So whether that's on LinkedIn, a blog on your website, a social post, a video that you might shoot and put on YouTube. All those things are great. I am not on TikTok. I am a boomer. So, okay, boomer, TikTok's not for me, but I will try and go on social, and my team does a much better job of promoting what we do than I do, but I will try and share and post on LinkedIn because that is a great platform for professional connections and development. But yeah, talk about what you do. It's not, to Tracy's point, it's not just give, give, give. You need to also receive. And I think it's important to tell your story and make sure that people know that it's not just business, but that you have passions and life beyond that and how that can impact. And I think there are so many options and abilities to do that now that didn't exist even 15 years ago. You kind of had to rely on maybe a reporter to tell the story. So now you can do it on your own. Jump on a podcast, join a podcast, host a podcast. You can do all kinds of things today that you couldn't before. And you can kind of control a message, which as a control freak, that's a great takeaway.
Yes, we got to control the narrative, right, Sharon? If we
Absolutely.
don't tell our story, someone else is going to tell it for us. Wow, 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 wow. New insights dropping all morning long. Wow, how are you guys feeling? I mean, are you getting good nuggets? Are you getting good value? Are you appreciating this conversation? I know that I am. And a lot of the women here serve on boards. A lot of women on this panel serve on boards. For those that are in the room, how many of you serve on boards? I want to know. Are you already serving on a board? Are you interested in being on a board? Because our next panelist is going to give us all the information that we need. Janice Robinson, she oversees United Way's VIP program. And as you've been listening today, you might be saying, okay, I want to get involved. I mean, I totally had a different way of thinking about civic engagement. And now I have a strategy, I have the benefits, I have the social and emotional awareness. How do I get training? What do I need to do? Janice is the expert, so don't worry, we have you covered. Janice, can you speak about the VIP program, how it prepares leaders to serve on boards, both nonprofit and for profit, effectively?
Let me tell you, this information has been remarkable. I am so happy to be here and to share a little bit of information. I see you, Monique. I saw you come in and share just a little bit of information about what it is that we do. But in listening to the ladies that have come before me, one of the words that stuck with me and that I often share with participants in our trainings is that you have to have passion. You need to find your passion, right? And the other thing that struck me, and I've been taking notes, so I'm looking around, is that we're talking about being stress-free and all this, but serving on a board can be stressful. I don't know if any of you have said that you have served on boards, but it's not the easiest job in the world. It can be a very heartfelt job and very fulfilling, but your desire to be there and your need to be there can be, it's a part of your life that you're sharing with others. And so there's a lot that I can say around that, but just know that it's not always easy peasy, as they say. So just understand that going in. And so I'll tell you a little bit about United Way VIP. And the program started in 1992, so we've been around for a while. I've been at United Way now for it was 31 years in February. I started when I was 5, and so I've but we have trained more than almost now it's almost 4,000 individuals to serve on nonprofit board of directors. And we offer our program 5 times per year, in the spring, in the summer, and in the fall. And we take those individuals who are participating in our program through a series of workshops that will help them understand what their roles and responsibilities are. And again, like I say, serving on a board can be stressful, but if you know the rules of the road before you say yes, it can make that easier. But the individuals who participate in our programs are those who have never served on a board, but really have the desire to do so. And so they want to seek training before they say yes. We have those individuals who have already said yes, but are clear that they're not fully aware of what they should or should not be doing. And so they would like to get to gain more understanding. And so they participate in the program as well. We also have those individuals who have huge hearts and really want to give back to the community. So they want to start their own nonprofit. And they really want to ensure that they lay the ground and their foundation correctly so that they'll understand exactly how to work in that community. And as we also have individuals who work at nonprofits who want to understand the dynamics of working with a board. So it's a beautiful mix of individuals who are community minded, who want to come together and really understand what it takes to be impactful to those organizations in the community. And so those individuals come to us really to understand what those roles and responsibilities are. So we talk to them about the information regarding their fundraising requirements, the what your role is in terms of marketing. To be like Sharon mentioned before, one of the things that you will have to do when you're serving on that board is actually to be an advocate, to share the story of that organization. And as a board member, that's one of your primary roles. You really want the community to understand what that organization is doing, so that you can have them connect in a way and understand what that organization is doing and how they impact the community and beyond. And so it's a great opportunity for you as an individual. When you're going out there and you're sharing that story, you need to understand the numbers, the details that you need to share as a board member, because you are there to ensure that that organization is reaching and being impactful and connecting individuals to that work. And so that's one of the topics that we talk about. Also, it's very important to understand that as a board member, you could be sued personally.
Mm.
I'll repeat that. As a board member, you can be sued personally. So that house that you own or that car that you own or your retirement, all of those things can be impacted. Your lifestyle can be impacted by the decisions that you make as a board member. So I see your face. I see that face, Ed Tech. And so yes, it can be. So it's really vital that you understand before you say yes, or if you've already said yes, you really need to be clear about what that means and how you can ensure that you protect yourself while you're serving on the board. Not saying don't serve. I'm saying that you need to understand what you're saying yes to, and one of the ways you protect yourself is that you show up to those board meetings, to those committee meetings, and that you are making making the best decisions for the organizations. We're talking about understanding the financial documents. We're talking about understanding if there's a crisis that happens as a board member, what's your crisis communication plan? We cover all that in the training. So that's why we encourage individuals to participate so they'll understand. In addition to those individuals who've gone through the program, we also want to ensure that once you have received the training, okay, what do I do next? Where do I go? How do I connect to a nonprofit, right? So we have opportunities where, I don't know if you know this, but there are thousands of nonprofits in the Atlanta area alone. Thousands of nonprofits. So number one, it starts with understanding what your passion is, looking to see if the organizations out there who you are really, that you have a more of affection towards than some of the others. Many nonprofits are looking for board members. They may approach you and you're like, oh, this is great. It's great, and it's prestigious for me to serve on this board. But again, you can be sued, so you show up where you need to be. And if you don't have a passion for an organization, say not at this time, say no, or I can volunteer in another capacity. I personally have a fondness for working with kids who are in foster care. Now, if someone asked if I would join the board of a senior citizens organization, should I show up? Maybe not. But I can help them in another capacity, but I would not join that particular board because that is not where my passion lies, right? So understanding where it is that what really drives you, where your desire is really great. Not only again, is because you're business owners, and so really you need to understand that it's not just you who you're attaching your name to that organization, but you're also incorporating that to the work that you're doing in your business. So it's not only is a reflection on you, but overall. So you need to make sure that wherever you go, whoever you connect with, that you are going to be serious about it. And I know there are many people who are serving on several different boards at once. Time is a factor. You really have to go back and look at everything that you have going on in your life. Dr. J, I don't know how you're sleeping. It's, I'm a woman of a certain age. Sleeping's not always, in it for me. But make sure that you have the time and the commitment that you need to have in order to say yes to these organizations. The other thing I also say is that when you're saying yes to service, you're also saying yes to support them financially. Ask those questions about what does that mean? Does that mean that I need to give this organization $1,000 annually, $5,000 annually? And just think about how much you have to give of your time, talent, and treasure to these organizations, and that can help guide you in making a decision about where it is that you want to serve. But you brought me here asking me, where can you find a board, right? How can you get on a board? So there are several ways I would encourage you. Number one, I know many of you mentioned LinkedIn. Many organizations now are posting their board openings on LinkedIn. So please check those out. They will actually have connections for you to actually look at so you can see exactly what they're looking for. I also encourage you while you're looking at that on LinkedIn to see if you have connections to that organization so that you can ask any information they can give you about who's serving, what is happening, because you don't want to join an organization that is almost at the stage of closing their doors. So really pay attention to that when you're looking. The other place I'll tell you is that there's the Georgia Center for Nonprofits. Thousands of nonprofits are connected to them. So if you know where your passion lies, definitely take a look at that. I always tell you with us, number one, we try to work with the graduates of our program to get them connected, but we have a list of almost more than 200 individual organizations who are looking for board service. So as individuals in this room with us, I'm happy to help you and assist you with sharing who is on our list of agencies looking for board members. At the end of the year, we typically will have a board recruitment fair. And I'm not sure if any of you are old enough to remember speed dating, but if you are, it's typically what we do with our nonprofits. We invite about 50 organizations to come out with us, and then invite our alumni and friends to come out and mix and mingle to get to know who's in the room, what they're looking for, and how you can have that conversation offline. But it gives you a great opportunity to really just get to know who's out there, and you can determine if that's an organization you want to spend more time talking to later. And so that's the other thing. The other thing that I heard you all mention is about networking. Participating in our program is a great networking opportunity, and I'm sure that both Monique and Tracy can attest to that. They had the opportunity to meet with other individuals in the community who they may not have ever met in other circumstances, but they have the opportunity to meet those individuals, network with them, and really understand what that looks like. What I will tell you is that when you're serving on a nonprofit board, it's really key to get to know the individuals that you're serving with for many different reasons, but it also helps with your networking and also your business. But I will tell you that when you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, we're all here because we're supporting the cause of this organization. Yes, we are. However, you don't really know why I'm sitting here, why I'm serving. So have that conversation with individuals, learn their story, learn why they're there, can help guide you in making this, not only making decisions for the organization, but can help you to determine if there is some type of connections that you all can make in terms of business. I've seen many individuals who participated in our program a life after to actually do business together, to work together in some capacity. So it's a great opportunity to get to know those individuals. And I believe the other question too was about getting connected to corporate boards, right? Many of the things that you do while you're serving on nonprofit boards can help you really move towards getting connected to corporate boards. Many of our graduates come back and say, hey, Janice, I want to get on a corporate board now. How can I do that? It takes more than just serving on one or two nonprofit boards. Many of them are looking for those individuals who are in the C-suite and who are making some strategic decisions and being involved in many different avenues such as that. But it really helps to start thinking about strategically building that profile of what that looks like so you can move forward in one transitioning from one organization to the next. And then there is an organization on board Atlanta that helps women actually get onto nonprofit boards. And I would, really encourage you to participate in that organization because they do some great events and it's always a good opportunity to get to know those individuals sitting in the seats that you'd like to sit in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janice. You gave us so much good information, so very insightful. Oh my God, I could get sued. What in the world?
Oh, you're
No,
welcome.
no
And the
to
link
self.
and we do have our information up now because we're recruiting for our fall session. So feel free to apply. The application deadline is in August, so you have plenty of time to either participate or to share with anyone that you like.
Mm. And quickly before we move into our final question, not all the women on the call are basically from the Atlanta area. So are there
Mhm.
any other sister programs that United Way has in other states?
So there are some United Ways that have programs similar to VIP, not all. And I know I checked that, I looked it up today, and I know that there's some in Chicago, there's some in Alabama, in Texas, um, California, Connecticut, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, and North Carolina. There may be more if you would like to know if there's any particular programs in your area. I believe you all will have my email address, so just email me and I'm happy to share with you who they are and how you can contact them and make that connection.
Thank you so much. Before we begin to open it up for questions and feedback, I have one final question. Several of you have been on leadership programs, right? Alumni of leadership programs like Leadership Gwinnett, Leadership Douglasville, Leadership Atlanta. For those in the audience that may not be familiar, can you share just how those programs shaped your leadership or opened doors? Any advice that you can give in 1 minute?
I'll go. I did both leadership. Buckhead and Crew has a leadership program as well. They are a chance for you, I think, to both personally and professionally grow. The Crew leadership, both Buckhead and leadership focused more on looking inside than external issues. And I think that they were both great points for me. Like one was kind of 10 years into owning my business, and one was more like 30 years into owning my business. And so getting a chance to step back and step away from your business, which, as we all know, as women-owned businesses, can be a 24/7, like you're thinking about it, even though you're not necessarily working on it 24/7. And so taking that personal time to step back and also make those more intimate connections with people has been tremendous. Just both uplifting as well as great networking, but more on the uplifting side, and just someone you can pick up the phone and call, and they know you inside and out because they've seen the good, the bad, the ugly through this leadership program. So I highly recommend them. If you can do them, I think they're great. And again, they're just a good stopping point in the nonstop hustle and grind that we often get sucked into. So
I agree with Sharon. I'm a proud graduate of Leadership DeKalb. And one of the things that I think is really key is the continued involvement. I actually have been working with them on their engagement committee and will be a co-chair for the incoming class in the fall. And so that ensures that not only am I still connected to the organization itself, but also still being involved and informed with those who are coming in. So it's a great opportunity to serve and to give back. And I think that helps you stay connected to that work, and it helps you again stay engaged. So I encourage you to do that as well.
Dr. DJ?
Yes. Um, I am a graduate of Leadership Clayton. I think that was like 2011. And then Leadership Douglas in 2018, and ultimately was a co-chair for the class of 2021. One of the reasons why I wanted to join and be a part of that is because at that time, I didn't know my community well. I was one of those individuals who drove out of my garage and drove out of my community. And so in 2016, I changed my life and I got a chance to know my community a little bit better. And by being a part of Leadership Douglas, it changed every single thing in my life just because of the people that I got a chance to meet and knowing my community. So it helped me not only personally, but professionally through my business and ultimately, getting to know people and people getting to know me. So if you have an opportunity to do it, whether your company can pay for it, it is well worth the investment and the time.
Thank you. And Tracy?
So I am not a part of a Leadership Atlanta, which is where I live, but I am a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I spend a tremendous amount of time there, which, as you know, is an African American African American sorority. And I spent a tremendous amount of time in development there, both developing me internally and then also using that as a platform to be able to engage civically, socially, and to network among other women. And to be honest with you, this is a little story. One of my most recent products, which is called Retreats in a Box, was developed because of my sorority. My chapter president a few years ago knew the type of work that I did in the workplace and asked me if I would come in and do a retreat for the sorority. They loved it so much they invited me to come, and they paid me, and they invited me to come back. I mean, it's my chapter, so they invited me to come back like 3 other times. Then they started referring me out to
Mhm.
other chapters who needed support. And then, I mean, my name started spreading around the country. That inspired me to develop another product, which I've deemed as Retreats in a Box. And now I've started doing retreats for not only the sorority around the country, but then they were in other organizations like the Coalition of 100 Black Women, Jack and Jill, and that has turned into a whole thing. And it was all because of like being in the sorority. The president knew what I did. And the other thing I will say, and I said this to Cassandra, who was the president, it was because that woman was not in competition with me. She really valued what I did, and she didn't see it as a lose. She wanted to pour into me. She wanted me to win. She wanted me to succeed. And so many of the other sorority sisters have also been like, I want to really lift you up in this way. And because they led with that spirit, that is what has allowed it to multiply. So I think that's a different way of looking at it.
That was such an awesome example and a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
To all of our panelists, Deborah Johnson Blake, Janice Robinson, Tracy Knight, Sharon Goldmacher, you have done such a phenomenal job today sharing your wisdom, your experiences, your stories, and your outcomes on being involved in civic engagement. You've given our guests so many insightful nuggets. And now I just want to take just a few moments to open up for any questions. If you have any further needs to connect with any of our panelists, you can see their information on the screen. Take a screenshot, let them know how great of a job they did, let them know what parts of their presentation really resonated with you. And I will open it up for a few questions before we begin to close.
I just wanted to say, not a question, just a statement. You guys were absolute fire. And when you started out by saying, most of you said, "Oh, we've been in business 30 years." Are you drinking from the fountain of youth? Because most of you don't even look old enough. So whatever you're doing, it's working and don't stop. But I just wanted to tell you that this was an amazing session. I wrote down lots of little nuggets on my little piece of paper. I think the one that jumped out the most was about, you can be personally sued being on a board. I have never, ever heard that before in all my years of accumulating gray hair. So that was really, really rich. Also, who I think it was let me get it right. Tracy who said it about like, developing purpose, people, and impact, and security. I think I purpose no, it was purpose, impact, and security. And the part about the business and civic engagement being an extension of who you are and who your business is. I think that's really, really key because I'm sure all of us get pulled in so many different directions by so many different people. Come here, do this, come here, do that. We need you here, we need you there. But do they all really closely align with who you are as a person, what you're passionate about, and what fits your brand? Because I think, as part of our civic engagement, we shouldn't be too much off brand, or it makes it seem like, we're really confused and a master of none. So, really statements more than a question. And I just really appreciated all the information that you shared. It was really valuable. And Tracy, I love your closing line. I wrote it down. I'm going to borrow it. I'll credit you for it. You said, "I'm complete."
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chef Maria. Anyone else? A question or a comment, an affirmation in 1 minute? Thank you for that comment, Jax. You're just joining and you are impressed with the richness and the depth of the programming. We love to hear this. Please keep showing up, share with others, let us know what would be relevant and meaningful for you. And I have a question for all of you. We heard a lot today about choosing boards and board service and civic engagement that aligns with your passion, not necessarily a direct correlation or connection to your business line to line, but your passion. What is your passion? Sharon told us hers was real estate, right? So we heard about that. We heard about with foster youth. What's your passion? Share it in the chat so that we know what you're excited about, what you're looking forward to, and maybe how we can even make introductions for you to connect and align with your passion. And while we are getting that, Sherelle, I will begin to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Monique. You guys have been seeing some of my comments because this has been totally inspiring. I definitely mimic Chef Maria's sentiments. Like, if you guys didn't, this is a great way to start your day, honestly. All these nuggets, all this inspiration, you panelists are truly amazing. And I really want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to really educate and advocate for these WBEs and just ways that they can advance in their business throughout this, especially now, throughout this difficult climate that all of our WBEs are going through right now. So I just want to give you guys kudos and claps for all that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you so, so very much. And just be sure, I'm going to keep this contact information up for just a few more seconds. And then, but again, I will be sending out the recording of today's call as well as the deck. So you all have this information that you can keep in contact with all of our panelists for today. All right. Let me just move on here. All right. Before we wrap up, I just want to give a major shout out to our Accelerate series 2025. This is our second year doing these modules. And as you can see, our committee is growing in numbers, growing in modules and participation. So I really want to give a major shout out to all of these women. Monique is one of the founding members, I will say, of the Accelerate series. Chef Maria, who else is on the call today? I see Lenny is here. Dawn Rennick is here. Takay, thank you so much for your time in building these modules. They really, if you can tell, they're very, very inspiring. So thank you so much for all your time and energy. And Saeed, I'm going to ask if you can. We do have a survey that we like to give out to all of our participants. It really does help with feedback so we know exactly what you are looking for from the Accelerate series and just GWBC in general. So he's going to go ahead and put that in the chat before we wrap up. And if you can click on that and participate in the survey, that would be excellent. All right. Just a few upcoming events. As Tracy actually mentioned, we just came off of our North Carolina pop in Georgia. You are up next. We're going to be hosting Georgia Pop at Georgia Power on Tuesday, September 16th. Get your tickets now. We do have an early bird rate going through August 22nd, and I definitely encourage you all to participate. It's really going to be a great time. And I'm going to encourage all of our Georgia WBEs to submit an application for our perfect pitch. I want to say thank you, Tracy, for that shameless plug talking about North Carolina Pop. That is also a program that has grown tremendously over the past couple years. This is a regional program that we do. We started at BMW in March with in South Carolina, and then we had here in Charlotte at Ally Financial in June, and now Georgia will be hosted at Georgia Power. Let's see. In South Carolina for Perfect Pitch, we had 5 semifinalists. In North Carolina, we had 9. So no pressure, Georgia. No pressure at all. But I'm definitely encouraging you to put in your application. The deadline is August 8th. And actually, Monique will be moderating that perfect pitch competition. So it's going to be a great time. It is going to be a great time. So put in your applications, get your tickets, tell a friend to tell another friend to join us on September 16th. It's going to be a great time. And next week, if you're looking for some more nuggets, the Accelerate series is going to be hosting Mastering the Art of Negotiations. I'm looking forward to this one as well. I know negotiations can be kind of like a scary, tricky topic, but we have an amazing panel that is going to give you some amazing nuggets and the inside scoop on exactly how you can accelerate in that lane. And Chef Maria Kemp is going to be moderating that panel next Thursday, July 17th at 9 to 10:30. So be sure to go to gwbc.org and register for that. You know that our Accelerate series are free, but this is something that you do not want to miss. This esteemed panel is gonna give it to you raw. They're gonna let you know like this is what you need to do in order to get your business to the next level by negotiating the way that it should be. All right. And last but certainly not least, all these amazing comments, I want to see them on social media. Our social media team wants to see them as well. Let the world know what you are getting out of our Accelerate series using the hashtag GWBC Accelerate. And if you want to get in touch with the amazing, we call ourselves the cool kids of GWBC, the events team, be sure to email myself, Maria, or Saeed at info@gwbc.org. If you have any questions about GWBC and any of our upcoming events, we will be sure to answer those questions for you. And without further ado, I am going to give you back 5 minutes of your day. Have a great one.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming.
Thanks for doing a great job, Monique. Thanks to all the other panelists. Guys, it was great to see you.
You did awesome.
Thank you.
Good to meet you.